Hello, and welcome back to Beards, Bourbon, and Games. I'm your co-host Mike, and with me is some guy I picked up on the side of the road.
Conquer Corey. Do I get paid now?
And gum.
Zebra
gum.
Yes!
And it's no secret on this channel, but we love retro games and we love modding. And one of our favorite systems on this spectrum of retro games is the PlayStation. You know, it has a lot of Resident Evil. All the Resident Evils came out on that originally. There's some great RPGs and stuff on that. And one of our favorite controllers is the original PlayStation controller.
I like it better than DualShock.
That's a hot take.
I'm changing my mind.
You know, I have to agree just for the sheer fact of how much I've used this controller. I think my original one I used so much and I bent so much that it kind of got warped on me a little bit. But I mean, even when the DualShock first came out on the little, nipples, nubbins?
Dog noses.
Dog noses. There's a lot of games that came out that the DualShock didn't even work on because it just wasn't supported for them. Like a lot of RPGs and stuff. I think Star Ocean, Second Story, was that one of the first ones that actually used the DualShock controller?
I remember Gex. For some reason, Gex sticks out. See, I can't even remember what game supported it.
Yeah.
Because, oh well.
You end up using these most of the time. But like holding this controller makes me want to fire up the original Resident Evil. Loved that game.
Yes.
It was so good. One of the cool things about retro gaming though is emulation. We also love to do those games. One of the greatest things is to take a emulation and play with the original controller. There's a lot of weird setups, a lot of weird mods that you can do to do that. But our friends at 8BitDo have released an amazing kit that turns this controller into a Bluetooth controller that you can hook up to what?
Well, so you can actually hook it up to the Switch, Windows, Android, Mac OS, and Steam. And you may ask, well, my Xbox controller does that. And that's true. The Xbox controller will do that. But I will tell you right now, it's different.
It hits different.
Especially if you played these consoles as a kid, you still have muscle memory that's residing in your hands and you don't realize it.
Yeah.
And when you go to press things and do things, it feels off because the D-pad on the Xbox controller is lower. It's not equal like this one is. And just trust me, when you have the original hardware like that, it makes all the difference in the world. But this gives you that option, which is really exciting.
Yes. And the cool thing about this too is that I'm sure this is going to surprise you with the state of this cable, but
what in the world happened?
When I bought this off of the person I bought it from, this doesn't work.
I wonder why.
I mean, look at this. That's another. Please don't tightly wrap your cables around your controllers. Save them. This has been my TED Talk. But with this mod, we can take the shell and remove the guts and basically save this controller to be used. What was it we said last time we did one of these? Take the guts, leave the buttons or something.
Take the guts, leave the buttons.
That's it.
Well, let's go ahead and dive into this thing. I have to get to the little thing and now. Okay. I got it. I got it again.
Let's all give a round of applause.
So, neat little packaging. No thrills here. It has a simple baggie. Oh, everything's in the bag this time. The other one, it was
kind of everywhere.
Yeah, laying out. That was weird. And we promised, we didn't open these prior. It was just like that. Documentation here. We're gonna keep that because normally I throw this stuff away, but 8BitDo kind of has pretty good documentation. Unlike a few other mods that we've worked on this channel. Just like before, we do have the screwdriver. I like that. That's pretty cool. We have that is not a USB-C.
What is it? Oh, that's right. I remember seeing this. They couldn't get a USB-C to fit in where this original cable connector was. So this is actually a little bitty connector, and I'll give you a zoom up of this. Yes. So this would connect into here, and that's what charges it.
And then here is it has a micro USB top here. it's the board. It's surprisingly basic. But I mean, this controller's basic, so the battery does seem smaller than the other one, the Nintendo 64 one. But all in all, I do like it too. They give you this bag and they actually put a sticker on there and they tell you, hey, put your original PCB in there, keep it safe. So if you do have a working PCB, you can hot swap them. I would recommend just buying a broken one that has like this, because you can find them pretty easy.
Oh yeah, I think I paid like $5 for this.
And then you paid $5 for a broken controller? Huh. I'm not judging. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, they just swap it out and then you get to work it. And I think they may actually have receivers on the original consoles that you can buy, right?
You can. There was some adapters when I was ordering these parts that you plug in and it syncs up with this, so you can play on the original console, which is amazing.
You know, because not all TVs are 5 feet away from us, which I'm pretty sure is the reason why I have glasses now. But yeah, without wasting any more time, let's get into this thing. Let's crack it open. Place the guts. Leave the buttons.
All right, so this one is actually a lot simpler than the N64 one. We all know how much of a pain in the butt that one turned out to be.
Oh, Nintendo. So simple, yet so complicated.
So I'll take a quick glance at the instructions, mostly getting them in my head. Then you're going to take out the 8 screws on the back of the sucker. Just set them to the side. I recommend putting them in like a little cup or something so you don't lose them. I accidentally rolled one of these at one point in time and I had to find it because it fell in the crack of the table.
At least it looked pretty easy to get to.
They are. This controller is very simple, very easy to take apart. Once you do it, just pops right off.
Wow, I forgot these don't have rumble or anything in them, how bare bones these are.
Yep.
There's literally just a PCB board.
The shoulder button,
Plastic.
you have to pop out that piece that I'm popping off right now. Don't forget to do that. But yeah, there's nothing to these controllers. Then you can get rid of that. Then we're going to remove the rubber and the buttons. Now I'm noticing how dirty this thing is. So I'm going to go in here and start cleaning this up. What we normally do, we'll take a clean cloth and then we'll use some Windex. Windex it's not a harsh cleaner, but we like to use it. You can also use rubbing alcohol if you're worried about causing some issues, especially if you're cleaning up a board. Use some rubbing alcohol. But I'm also using this little pick that I have to clean the gunk out from basically the crevice of the controller, which is a bunch of dead skin, so it's very nasty, and while I'm in there, I might as well clean it out. I think while I was doing this, I kept going, I also cleaned the buttons, because the buttons themselves also were dirty before I'm about to put them in. Who knows when I'm going to crack this back open. Alright, now that we're relatively clean, I'm going to take out the board itself. I look at it, I get distracted because, ooh, shiny. I would start putting the buttons in. The good news is the buttons only go in one way. There's grooves cut out on each of them, and the buttons have little protrusions that go into those grooves, so you can't really mess it up. Of course, you can also just look at the standard layout of a controller and put it in there. Once you get those, you'll install the membrane back on the back, and then I put the D-pad in, and this little white doohickey that holds it. Couldn't find the start and select button, even though it was right in front of me. Don't judge me. I can feel your eyes.
I'm still kind of in awe of how simple this controller is. I guess it's because of how complex controllers are getting nowadays.
Yeah, they're so much more complex. I mean, even the GameCube one, which we recently did for a different video, it's way above this. I think it's just a generation after. I mean, heck, even the N64 one is more than this. So before you install the board, there is this little piece that goes on the top. It's a charging port, and it's also the LED light to show you when it's on and everything. It's just a little ribbon cable that goes in and locks in. Be careful. There's a little close-up view of it. Careful when you put it in there. Once you get it in there, you just slide it into the controller, and that goes into the spot where the cable would come out from the controller. Here again, you're going to put that back in. There's a little bracket that snaps into there to hold it, and then it just slides right back into the top of the controller. Very easy. There's plenty of cable. Those cables are stiff, so be careful not to accidentally rip them off the side or rip them out of the bottom of it. But there's plenty of wiggle room with it, so you shouldn't have any issue at all. Unless you're like me and almost putting it upside down. It's just me kind of cable managing a little bit. I wrap it around the outside there to make it easier to make sure it actually stays in there. The constructions don't actually call for that, but it seemed to make it a lot easier when I was putting it back together. And we just slap the back on. And we install the screws again. Overall, this one is very simple. Doesn't take you long. It's not hard to do. This is probably the one I would start with if you're trying to do one. This one or another one we have coming out soon. The N64 one is a little more complicated. As you can tell in our last video, it just took a little bit longer. So, one thing I do want to point out, and I point out later in this video also, is the cable that charges this sucker is a proprietary cable. You'll see it up there in the top. I'm going to unspool it and plug it in for you. Be very careful not to lose that. I don't know if you'll be able to get a hold of another one.
Yeah, you probably have to contact 8BitDo or so to get a hold of them. Wow, overall that was pretty simple. Shockingly easy, actually.
It is extremely easy to put that together. I absolutely love this one. It was just a nice, easy kill time to put it together.
Well, that wasn't bad. As far as these go, the Nintendo 64 one was much worse than this one. Overall, Nintendo 64 was the hardest of all these we've done so far. This one wasn't too bad. The only tricky thing you're going to run into is, as you saw in the video when I talked about running the lines at the side for the buttons. That's it. You'll notice that I cleaned every single one of these out because, honestly, all that gunk that comes out of those is mostly dead skin. Because as you hold these, you scrape your hands. But we did a real good job on these. The biggest gripe I have about this controller so far is the charging port, because it's got a proprietary charging port, and honestly, it's if I lose that cable, which I'm prone to do, I'm kind of SOL. So
keeping it in the box that it came in and put up somewhere.
Right. But let's hook it up and let's check it out and see how it does real quick.
So basically, I put it in pair mode. Keep the paper. You know how we normally throw things aside, and I said 8BitDo kind of has their own special way of doing things. Well, I'm glad it paid off this time, because in order to go into pair mode, you have to hold down the select button for about 3 seconds, and then you'll start getting the pair light. It'll start flashing blue. Now, what we have behind us is a RetroPie, and I'm using the 8BitDo Bluetooth receiver, the little brick one that came in the older controllers. Put it in pair mode. It works perfectly. So it paired up. And then I did set it up to my RetroPie, So we're gonna go over here to PlayStation, and we're gonna hit the circle button because that is the A button. And we're going to hit the circle button again for A to launch Resident Evil. Or RetroPie. There we go. There we go. Had me worried for a second there.
Now the cool thing about this is we can play our emulators with the original controllers now.
Like I said, it's a work in progress. Got a little tweaks here and there. So this is running on the RetroPie, Raspberry Pi 3B+. So it's really cool kind of using official original hardware on this. But as you can see, it is working. Oh,
it's so bad.
It's hideous.
I don't remember it being this bad.
That's because I put filters on all our emulators when I set them up.
Ugh.
I upped the resolution on them, and I've left it standard default here. Oh, it's terrible. No, don't turn on the voice actor. No.
Now, Jill, can you go? I'm going with you.
My master of unlocking.
Oh.
Okay, let me.
So this game obviously has a very long opening, but as you can see, the controller is working. It is working well. Honestly, pairing it was super simple. Just got to remember those button combinations. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're doing certain things, buttons on these older controllers are limited. So whenever you like RetroPie wanted me to set up a menu key that I couldn't do because as soon as I held it said, "Oh, hold the select button for 3 seconds and that'll skip it." Well, I put it in pairing mode. So there's a couple things you got to be aware of. But all in all, I think it's amazing being able to use the original hardware. It kind of creates that illusion that you're playing on the original hardware, which is pretty convenient because this thing's actually more powerful than the original PS1.
Yep.
So. And we'll just sit here and we'll laugh at Mike while he relearns the controls. Blat. Blat.
Very responsive. Works great. I'm happy with it. Do I think it's worth it? 100%.
Oh yeah, especially if you got a dead controller. I mean, there's no reason not to, right?
No.
And so I mean, if you got, well, I remember I used to have countless things of these laying around that were worthless, and so you just crack it open, you take the guts,
Leave the buttons.
and leave the buttons. So, but let us know what you think. Is this something that you're interested in? Super easy. We hope if you do decide to get one, our tutorial helps you. Mike did an amazing job at it. It feels there's no cracks in the case that I would leave, but yeah, I mean, all in all, it's good. But as always, I'm your co-host, Conquer Corey,
I'm Mike.
and we'll see you.
See ya.